Shepard, I love how enthusiastic our audience is. Everybody is so excited to see our interview with the legendary Freeway Ricky Ross that the natives are getting restless in the comments. They want to know if the show is going to start. We're still waiting for Ricky. He's going to join us in a minute. How are you today, Shepard?
I'm doing great, Jason. It's a nice day here. Took a walk with the dogs and just got ready for the show and all that. I've been working on squawk.com, SQAUK.com, my new website, getting it ready for the official launch. I got to do about 18 more articles to get it all stocked up and ready.
When is that official launch expected to be?
Probably about a week from now or something like that.
But people can still go there. SQAU. Oh, we've got Freeway Rick there with us right now. Perfect timing. And he's going to be coming right in. And just as soon as he joins
How's it going,
on
Rick?
Zoom. Hey, Rick, there he is. I think the audio is still joining. Can you hear us, Rick?
I hear you.
Good to see you, man. How you been?
I've been good. You?
I'm well. It's great to see you. And, there are so many interviews with Freeway Ricky Ross, the real Rick Ross. I want to make sure everybody knows that you've written books. You've done all kinds of great stuff. What would you like to promote before we get underway with the interview?
We can promote the book, my T-shirts. I got a new dispensary right now.
Oh, nice.
So we can promote that as well.
Yeah, so we're live right now, and I've got weed maps up here. Freeway Rick's is the dispensary. You can get directions. Cool. Is there a website for the dispensary, Rick?
It is. The website is called Freeway Rick's.
There we go. Perfect. And this is the real Rick Ross, not this poser who stole your name and then is making money off of your fame. I got to say, Ricky, you and I have spoken a couple times in the past, and you are a fascinating and enigmatic guy because by many measures, you're a super unlikely drug kingpin. You're just a very charismatic, friendly person. Every time we speak, I kind of can't believe it. And it's, as I listen to the interviews and the life that you've had, by every measure, you grew up in South Central LA, no father in the home, a lot of domestic violence. You've said in previous interviews, a lot of your friends have life sentences and stuff, but you seem to have found your way in life. And how's everything going for you right now?
Well, it's been a little tough. I opened up this dispensary and it's not as easy a business as I thought it would be. Competition is stiff. Taxes are high.
Right. Whoops, did we lose you there? So we've got the website up here. I hope we
might have lost him.
Yeah.
I think that I could only imagine how the taxes and all that would be in that business. They're going to want to get their hands on the money before the business owner, the government and whatnot.
Exactly. There we go. Freeway Ricky's. It's a nice website. But he'll come back in and join us. We're going to be talking to Rick about how in the 80s, he was basically the cocaine kingpin of Los Angeles, and later learned that the Nicaraguans that he was dealing with, this was all the stuff to do with Iran-Contra. Hopefully we don't have too many technical problems getting to Rick, but if anybody is there going looking for a dispensary, he's got a lot of products there. Alien Labs.
That looks awesome.
It does. It's the best weed in town. Oh, there we go. We got him back. Get him back on. There we go. Hey, Rick, welcome back. Can you hear us?
I hear you now.
There we go. Perfect. So we're just showing everybody the website. Awesome. It's a great looking website. And as I was saying, if I may compliment you a bit more, there's plenty of people that I know who are like extremely educated, but still morons. And by contrast, you haven't had those opportunities. You didn't go to Harvard. You graduated high school not knowing how to read, but yet you eventually taught yourself to read. You became your own attorney, and you got your life sentence overturned. Before we get into the corruption of the cops in LA and everything, can you just tell us a little bit about that, how you learned to be your own lawyer and overturn the sentence?
Well, I was sitting in jail, and a friend kind of broke it down to me like this here. He said, why wasn't I going to the law library? And I explained to him that I couldn't read, couldn't write. And he explained to me that somebody should have my case as their best interest, meaning that somebody should want me out of jail better than they want anything else. And I found out that the only person that could be was me.
True.
My lawyer couldn't do it. My lawyer had kids, he had wife and other clients. So he couldn't sit around and worry about my case all day or work on my case all day, but I could. And the only way that I could do that was if I learned how to read and write. So the first thing I did was learn how to read and write.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And you also were almost like a professional level tennis player. And even as I watch these interviews of you talking about the business, I think a lot of people, obviously, throughout your life must have been upset that you were selling drugs and everything like that. But the truth of the matter is, do people get upset at the person who owns a McDonald's because everybody eating that is getting heart attacks or whatever? It's up to people what they do, right?
I thought about that kind of stuff. I used to get down on myself when I was in prison about being a drug dealer. And and I thought about, when Chevrolet builds a car and somebody goes out and have a wreck in the car and get killed or all the different things, that there's so many things out here that's not good for us, stuff like milk. They promoted milk as being something good for us. And now we find out that milk is not that have the benefits that they always told us that it had. So do you get mad at yourself because of these problems, or do you forgive yourself? And that's one of the reasons that I was able to forgive myself, because there's a lot of people that make a lot of things that have caused problems. And when I got into the drug business, I was dumb to the fact of what drug addiction was. I didn't know what addiction was.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't have the kind of guidance that a lot of people have. You grew up without a father in a neighborhood where there were no opportunities. I was intrigued by what you said about the starting of the Crips and the Bloods, how it essentially started almost as just like a club where the people in there were kind of protecting the neighborhood and giving each other something to do. And that it was only later that it became violence and drugs and all that. But it's amazing because you kind of remind me a little bit of the fictional character reminds me of you, of Walter White, although he was even more violent than you. You never got involved in violence. You haven't been accused of doing any violence, right?
No, I tried it. I've always, when I got into the drug business, the first thing I told my partner was that I would only hurt somebody in self-defense.
Yeah. So you're a really unique guy. And for people who haven't seen you before, I wanted them to know about that, because Shepard and I have been talking a lot about P Diddy. And the reason why I wanted to bring you into this conversation is because you've given so many interviews where you talk about how you were dealing with Nicaraguans as your source, and it was only much later in your life that you learned about the CIA involvement and Iran-Contra and all that. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how did you first meet those Nicaraguan guys, if you're able to say?
Well, a school teacher introduced me to him.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
That was Mr.
That was
Richardson or something?
Fisher.
Right. And then he himself became an addict and kind of fell out, and you took over with the Nicaraguans, right?
Correct. When we first did it, it was, a way for him to make some extra money, and for me to make a little money, to make more money. I explained to him that I got into the drug business, and he explained to me that he had been into the drug business before.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any chance that somehow the CIA said, hey, that's the guy, we want to start sending Nicaraguans around? I mean, did they somehow select you think?
Nah, I don't think that's how it happened. I think it was a combination of me taking care of my business and working my way to a certain level to where then they recognize and say, you know what, this is the guy that we want.
Yeah.
Did you always have in mind, Ricky, did you want to get bigger and bigger, or did it just kind of come to you naturally or whatever? Or did you have this plan like, I want to be a drug lord?
Well, you know, when I started, I wanted to make $5,000, you know, to fix my car up and you know, do a few things.
Wow.
But you know, it got easier as we go. You know, when you're making, you know, $400 or $500 a week, you saying, oh man, if I make $5,000, I'm good, I'll quit.
Right.
But then you start doing $400 or $500 every day, and then you be like, wow, I can do that in a week. Why not make 20?
And then it's been reported that you've made in total something between $2 and $3 billion.
Damn.
Yeah, well, that's the way the government added up everything. You know, they add up every dollar that, and then
That's
even with that, they
counting.
Yeah, they still didn't get it correct, even when they do it like that. But yeah, I make quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
Dang,
has it been difficult to adjust to life now on the straight and narrow, not making that much money?
Well, you know, one of the biggest things that hurdles that I've had is that not being able to get resources. You know, people who are just right now, they don't invest. You know, like you know, like with my dispensary, you know, I haven't been able to get an investor to come in and back me with my dispensary, and it's amazing that no matter how good you are with money, it's still tough to get what you need.
Yeah, there's
Absolutely.
a lot of gatekeepers, you know. I would have thought maybe you could partner up with like Mike Tyson or something, but he's already got a dispensary. So is that like, you know, probably some type of conflict or something? Did I talked to Tommy Chong one time, and they started their whole line, and I don't know, do you feel like they gatekeep the industry though, like with everything, or is it a hard thing to get into, and you gotta like overcome pitfalls and stuff that they set for you, or do you think it's just a matter of time?
Whoops, did we lose you, Rick?
I think he froze again.
Yeah, he's on mobile data because he's in his car, so maybe we'll get him back in a moment.
That's fascinating though, that that whole industry and how quick it blew up
Right.
to, you know, and all that.
Well, it's like anything, right, Shep? I mean, there's a lot of people in it, so there's a lot of competition. And, you know, one of the things I think that's problematic in the marijuana business, even in California, is that because it's still federally illegal, banks that are insured by FDIC will not allow you to
money for you
accept
can go
credit
buy.
cards. No, you can't accept credit cards. So the whole business becomes cash. So now any kind of criminal knows if you have a dispensary, there's a ton of cash in there and a ton of weed. And what are the cops going to do when your weed dispensary gets robbed? Plus, when we get him back, well, we hear about what the cops did to him to try to catch him. They created a whole entire task force, the Freeway Rick task force, to nail him because he was able to put together very sophisticated tactics.
Yeah, I was at a dispensary.
Here we go. We got him back.
I was at a dispensary in Las Vegas, and I showed up right after they fired on someone in the parking lot.
Yikes.
Because they deal with so much cash, they have to have Blackwater security there and stuff like that.
Rick, is that an issue? You've got to deal in cash in the dispensaries because you can't have credit cards and you become a target for robberies, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're dealing with so many problems in this industry, you know, with overtaxation. You know, we pay 28% taxes.
Wow.
And that's not even federal.
Wow.
It's like the politicians, you know, they want to get rid of the black market, but then You know, when you put these exorbitant taxes on, you kind of
They
like
love
fuel
it.
the black
Yeah.
market.
It seems like you would be
Yeah.
well situated to kind of advise them how to make that work. People can also buy Freeway Rick Ross t-shirts. You can get those by going to freewayrickyross.com shop, right?
Yep.
Hey,
Yeah.
that looks pretty cool, that logo.
Yeah,
That's
it's
on
that
amazing.
sign.
When you look into Rick's history, he has just got such a business acumen. Even since he was a kid, he's just always been hustling and finding a way to sell things. What I wanted to get to, Rick, was you have spoken in interviews about how at one point, was it the LAPD or the Sheriff's Department had created a Freeway Rick Ross task force, right?
Both of them, LAPD and sheriffs together.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. They can't be trusted over there at the LAPD, man. That's some dirty agency over there.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You can't be trusted at all. But the thing that was amazing is, and again, I mean, I encourage people to look around the internet for interviews with Rick, to purchase his book. You can get it on Amazon. It's your
don't
intelligence.
Go to Amazon.
Oh no!
Don't go to Amazon.
Okay.
Go to my website and get it.
To the website. Okay, so there we go. So purchase it directly from the site. Sorry about that. On the shop, you can get the book.
Okay.
Yeah, go to my site. Amazon keep all the money.
Good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Good
No
point.
point in giving
Purchase
them
it right
anything.
here.
Jeff Bezos don't like sharing.
No, he does that with films too. He takes a lot of they take like 50% of the film or something
Man.
like that.
But the thing that really stood
Yeah.
out to me, Rick, is this inherent intelligence that you have. And you were able to devise methods to evade the cops kind of like no other. So they created this task force. And even then, even with, doing all the stuff to weigh drugs and move them around and everything, they couldn't catch you. They had to plant stuff on you, right? How did that go down? Tell us about that.
Well, the first time that I noticed they was planting drugs was I was out of town, and one of my girlfriends called me, and she was like, the cops raided my house. She was in jail. They took her to jail for having drugs at her house. And I was like, wow, she don't use drugs. I don't use drugs. Why would drugs be at her house? Mm-hmm. And I called a lawyer, and the lawyer told me that he didn't believe that the cops had planted the drugs. But that wasn't that wasn't the last time. So one night I was leaving the gym, and I was with two of my guys, and we looked up and some cars was following us with their lights out. And I was like, damn, man, these cars were following us.
Whoop.
Huh?
Sorry about that.
Something happened.
I had the video looping in the background or something.
Please continue, Rick.
So I saw the cars following me with no lights on. So I tell my guys that there's a couple cars following us with no lights on, and we stop at a red light, and the cops pull up on us, and they let their window down. They had tinted windows, we had tinted windows, and then we see that their badge on the jacket, and my boy said, "Oh man, that's Tomar." He said, "He gonna kill you."
Who's Tomar?
He said that Tomar was the head of the Freeway Task Force. He was the head cop.
And he planned to kill you as a cop? That doesn't seem like law enforcement. That seems like gang activity.
Well, that's what he had told my friends, that they were going to kill me.
Wow. So what Shepard had told me about previously that got us around to the conversation about you, because I found this information about the Freeway Rick Task Force, and I remember the interview that you and I had done a few years ago with Charlie Robinson, but this Rampart scandal, were any of the same task force officers that were after you involved with that? Do you know about that?
Yeah, I think Rampart was an offshoot of Freeway Rick Task Force. They had they had suspended 35 cops from my case.
Wow.
But only 6 went to jail.
Wow.
So,
yeah, it was pretty wrapped up, like the whole department, and what they went through it and just started throwing people out of cases, like police that were involved in your case got taken out.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
wow.
That's exactly what happened.
Because you've spoken about how some of these police officers actually became involved in drug dealing while they were police, right?
Well, yeah, but you know, they were taking drugs from one drug dealer and planting them on another drug dealer. You know, we don't really know the scope of their investigation. You know, how far they went, if they were actually out on the street selling drugs. I don't know that for a fact. But you can only imagine if they got access to all the drugs that they want and they can move them around and do whatever they want to do. You know, I mean, they had big houses on the river and they were living like drug dealers. When the feds got them, they were living like drug dealers.
Wow, amazing. And then, of course, you know, the Iran-Contra problem, that went straight to the top. You had, you know, Bill Barr, who was the Attorney General. I don't know to what extent you've researched the Iran-Contra in the years after. Have you gotten deeply into it?
I went into it a little bit when I was in jail. You know, it's so much. You know, so many connecting parts to that situation that I mean, you could spend a lifetime. You know, I mean, look what happened with Gary Webb.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Gary Webb went down that rabbit hole, and you know, he lost his job and lost his wife and kids, and you know, and eventually wound up dead.
Absolutely. And they made that movie, Kill the Messenger. I believe you are portrayed in that movie. Did they give you any money for having somebody be you in this movie?
No, I didn't get any money from that. And I didn't help them with the movie at all. They never, well, you know what? Michael K. Williams came to talk to me when he was going to play my role. I guess he was being respectful because of, you know, the rapper stealing my name and all the other stuff that went with it. So he contacted me and told me he wanted the role and asked me if I would give him my blessing.
Oh, nice.
And did he like interact with you to try to be able to play you more accurately so he would know your mannerisms and stuff like that?
No, we met twice. I don't think he did. He said that there was already a format that they wanted my character to be. But after he sat down with me, he did tell me that he went back to them and had them to tone my character down some.
Yeah, because that's not cool. They're going to change the way that you actually are because they have a format. That seems weird.
Well, you know, usually the way they do it is whatever they think is going to sell, that's what they do.
Did you like the movie and your portrayal in it?
It was okay. You know, I thought that my character should have had a better role in the movie, more. They kind of played in the movie where as if my character didn't know anything about what was going on, and that wasn't the case. You know, I didn't at one time, but I figured out what was going on, and I played an active role in fighting my case.
Huh. But during the time that before you got to prison, you didn't really know that the CIA was involved, right? That's something you learned in prison.
Yeah, I learned that from Gary Webb, more so about the CIA and from going to trial, you know, from questioning in the courtroom when my lawyer was actually questioning Danilo Blandon, the informant.
Ricky, did with the FBI being involved in everything in you know today's day and age and past events and them being involved in setting people up, you know, like even during the January 6th thing, they had agents out in the crowd and stuff. Do you think there was any FBI involvement or setup on the part of the FBI?
On which one?
On you, like, do you think the FBI was involved in any way in setting you up or anything?
Well, absolutely. DEA, FBI, INS, all of them work together. So absolutely, they were involved. How much was they involved with the Nicaraguans smuggling the drugs over? We don't really know that question. And you know, did they need to be involved? You know, if the CIA called them, they definitely would have helped.
Super interesting. So, you know, speaking about P Diddy for a moment. Have you been following that at all?
I've been following it a little bit, yeah.
That's crazy,
So there was
huh?
an incident that occurred that's referenced in the lawsuit at Chalice Recording Studio, and a guy named Mr. G was allegedly shot in the bathroom, and Lil Rodney Jones, who's brought the lawsuit, he has all kinds of pictures from his own phone of the bathroom all bloody and everything, and he recounts the story of how he had to take the guy, and it was bleeding like crazy, and P Diddy just basically said, throw the guy in the street. The cops came and they told the cops that he had been shot in the parking lot, but there was a trail of blood in the photos in the lawsuit leading out of the bathroom into the street. Rodney Jones says that the cops saw the bathroom all bloody and they just went along with P Diddy's story. What do you think of that?
Well, a lot of times cops, when they see people who have status, and at one time P Diddy was on top of the world, so they have a tendency to overlook a lot of the things that they don't overlook for the common folk.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So when you were at your billionaire status, did you have that kind of status or no? Because you weren't a rap star or anything like that.
No, I stayed away from the cops. I didn't want cops to be my friends. I didn't want to know no cops. Remember, cops was my number one enemy.
Right. Huh. And isn't this rapper Rick Ross, is he somehow related to P Diddy or no?
Yeah, him and P Diddy.
I think they're gay, maybe.
Ooh.
No, for real. That's what I heard. Yeah, like I think that.
I saw a picture with him about to kiss, but P Diddy used to be his manager, I think.
Okay, there you go. So how did he come to, I know you tried to sue him and they wouldn't allow you to prevent him. It's not his real name at all. It is your name by birth. And certainly you are a really historic figure based on all this stuff that has happened. What did they say? Why is this guy allowed to make money? You've served your time. You've done what needed to be done, and now you're out. You should not be taken advantage of by somebody making money off of your name.
Well, what they said is that, you have 2 years to file a lawsuit. I didn't file my lawsuit in time. And that is what caused me to sue. And it's really tricky with names. The courts can do what they want to do,
That's true.
They can just claim it's a fictitious name or something. So it's probably like this endless thing you're chasing or what, because they can claim, well,
First
we just
Amendment.
made this up or something like that, or it's a staged thing, or like what kind of things were they coming at you with? What were some of the arguments?
Well, first of all, you can't really trademark a name per se.
Okay, right.
The name has to be attached to something, a hat, a hoodie, a T-shirt,
a product,
something like that. A product. Which anybody can name their kid Rick Ross or Jimmy Williams. And technically, you could say that they infringed on your brand.
Okay.
But it's really tough. My judge, I was suing Universal Music Group, which is one of the biggest corporations, as we know, in America or the world. And they've had a lot of lawyers. And the judge used to work for that law firm that represents Universal.
There you go. That's the way it always goes. It's interesting because Universal Music Group is also being sued in this lawsuit from Lil Rod, and they were in a hearing a couple of weeks ago. They're trying to wiggle out of it like crazy, and I just noticed right now as we're talking on this Wikipedia for Rick Ross, not the real Rick Ross, but the rapper, the name stealer, it says in November 2010, rapper and frequent collaborator Diddy, who in 2009 signed Ross to a management deal with his Chirac Entertainment, announced from his YouTube account that he and Ross were working on an EP together. So yeah, these guys are definitely embedded. Do you think they stole your name? Like, it seems like they did this on purpose, no?
Well, you know, he knew that my name had value, and he capitalized on it. You know, as a business person, you know, you'd have to pat him on the back. But then as a moral person, you know, you have to say, you know what, you's a shitty guy.
Yeah, exactly.
To make that kind of money and then not reach back and help out the people who help you.
Yeah, or even maybe invest in the dispensary would be fair. Have you been able to speak to Diddy at all?
No, I never spoke to Diddy.
Huh.
I rapped for Diddy.
I didn't want to do the Diddy. I didn't want to do the Diddy. I didn't want to do the Diddy.
I ended up rapping for King Los and Diddy once. And it was like a fucking surreal thing, dude. And they're like, give me your best 16 bars. And I hit it up, and Los was like, damn. And shit, like, it was crazy, dude.
But we're not going to catch the real Freeway Ricky Ross at a P Diddy freak off with all that crazy stuff. And another thing you've spoken about, Rick, is you had your operation. I mean, this was a multi-billion-dollar drug operation that spread to lots of different cities, but I haven't heard you speak too much about Miami. Were you involved in any of the drug kind of scene in Miami?
Well, you know, for a short period, I used to go to Miami and pick up drugs. You know, one time Miami was the cocaine capital of the United States.
Right. And did Star Island play into that at all?
Not that I know of.
Because, you know, Diddy's got his whole house there. We were looking into Star
Island. Vanilla Ice and Pablo Escobar
were hanging out on Star Island.
Yeah, I never heard that before.
Wow. And you've also mentioned previously that you never really dealt with Pablo Escobar, although he was sort of always adjacent. It's interesting because last week, Shepard and I were looking at Star Island, and we found out that it was actually built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Isn't that weird?
So it's like this government island, and there's some underground bases on it, in the houses, underground shelters.
Bunkers.
It just seems weird, like it's some kind of government thing or something, you know? So we're checking into that a little bit. But Ricky, the fake Rick Ross, has a house there with a bunker in it on that island.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Everybody doing it.
I think it is. Yeah, I think that's strange.
I mean, Ricky, do you think there's any more government activity still going on like what was going on around you when you were in the business?
I'm sure it is. You know, the government uses whatever tactics they need to accomplish the goals that they're trying to accomplish. But I'm hoping that we never have another breakout like we had with the crack epidemic.
Ricky, when you were in LA, did you ever come across Keefe D?
I know Keefe.
What do you think about his current situation, like with the Tupac thing? Do you think there's like any chance for his defense, or, you know, do you think he talked himself into a pickle? Like, what's your opinion on that?
Well, it's going to be tricky, you know, especially with federal courts, because the way federal juries are, they don't have to have the kind of evidence that they need in the state. You know, in the feds, they could just have me coming in and say that I saw you with drugs, and if the jury believes me, then they can find you guilty.
Oh, okay. So the feds can admit like a witness, and a lot of times they could probably put in their own fake witness or something, and then just set people up too.
Well, they can be fake or they can be real. They can be fake or they can be real, but they don't have to have the product in your pocket.
Okay, right.
And you've spoken a lot.
They don't have to have the smoking gun. They don't have to have the smoking gun. I don't have to still be smoking. for the feds to come in and figure out how to put you in jail for shooting a gun.
But you've also spoken a lot, Ricky, about how they put pressure on people. There was something you said in an interview that they had changed the deal where you rat somebody out and you get much less time in jail, and that resulted in a lot more informants, right?
Right. Absolutely. Minimum mandatory.
Have you ever thought about getting a bar license and becoming a lawyer? You're so smart with all the legal stuff.
Nah, I mean, right now I just want to kind of, I'm going to do this dispensary, get this settled, and then I just want to take it easy for a little while. I got 2 babies that's playing tennis. Want to spend time with them and just enjoy life a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good idea, man.
People should definitely go to freewayrickies.com. There's a lot more states that have made cannabis legal. Are you able to ship cannabis, or people have to go to the store in California, in Sun Valley?
They have to come to the store. It's illegal for us to ship across state lines right now. Hopefully the feds will do something about that soon and make it legal all over the country. But right now it's illegal. They have to come by and visit me.
You got the best weed in town. It looks like you're also maybe using some AI to do some of the graphics on there.
Yeah, we are.
That's great.
We're trying to bring technology into this realm because it's very important to develop and become that everybody else is trying to become. And the first one that makes it, will be the one who make the money.
I got a little bit of interesting insight for you with regard to AI, because when I was coming up with our thumbnail for today's show, there's a lot of pictures of you around, but I wanted something with you sort of, sitting in the mountains. And so I went to an AI program and said, hey, give me Rick Ross as the kingpin of LA. And it made images of you that are so accurate. It's amazing, because most of the time, if you ask AI to create an image of a known person, first of all, it'll either say no, or it doesn't look anything like the person. And I mean, next to maybe like Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I have not seen it create such an accurate likeness of somebody as it did of several images I created of you. Any thoughts on that?
Cool.
Yeah, I like that picture. It looks good.
Thank you. But I mean, I'm thinking AI knows you.
I got black hair on it. Black hair on it.
They probably get so many requests, though. People probably request him so much that it knows it learns it.
I'm thinking something other than that. I'm thinking because...
or he's in the government. What if the government sold his profile or something?
Or something like that. That the government has records on Freeway Ricky, and so I don't know. Because it's interesting to see the people that it will make images of and won't, and how accurate they come out. I don't know what it means. It's just interesting to observe.
That's cool, though.
Yeah. Now, when... Shep, when was Tupac killed? Ricky, you don't know anything about those details,
96.
right?
September
96.
7th, I think,
96.
or something like that.
So were you still in the game when that happened, Ricky?
No, I was in jail.
You were in jail. Is there anything that you know about all that stuff with the Tupac mystery that you could shed light on?
Not really.
I like that laugh. I feel like there's something.
Let me ask you this: Do you think that? Do you think Suge had anything to do with it?
Oh, don't make him.
I don't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, who would be in a car with somebody shooting at him with an AK?
I know. I think the same thing. I used to think that, like, right off the bat. That's what I thought. Like, maybe Suge had something to do with it. But after really checking into it, I don't think so at all. Now, what's interesting? I found out, though, that the FBI was monitoring this the whole time. Like that night that Tupac got shot, the FBI was monitoring it. Also, the night that Biggie got shot, And it's like, you know, they might have even been recording this or had something to do with it, and none of that's come out. And they have, you know, there's like knowledge of this, and I find that weird. Do you think the government played a part in it?
Nah, I don't see no reason why they would want to kill Tupac or Biggie. They wasn't really doing anything. They wasn't uplifting the people. You
Do
know.
you think they were just interested in maybe they were following Tupac around because he had so much response or something like that?
Yeah, you know I mean, a lot of stuff with what they were doing. It was a lot of potential criminal activity, possibly. But as far as the government, you know, when I hear people talk like that, I was like, you know, the government only want to stop people that are leading the people in a different direction than what the government wants them to go in. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that Biggie or Tupac either offered any of those solutions.
One of the things that we were hearing about was an interview from a former CIA agent, officer, whatever it was, who had alleged that the government actually created hip hop. It kind of like what is alleged in your situation, that they were injecting crack cocaine into the black community to try to, you know, break down the community and oppress black people. This was saying that hip hop and the whole, you know, gangster rap culture was also created to break down black families and try to just disrupt the black community. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, what I heard about the record labels doing that, I didn't hear that the government was involved with it. You know, the record labels were struggling, which the music business is still struggling right now. Mm-hmm. And so what they did is they went and bought into the prison industry. So I definitely heard about that. Now, as far as the CIA deliberately sending crack cocaine to the black community, you know, that's been argued many times. And that was one of the things they tried to say Gary Webb said. But what Gary did say is that he don't know if the CIA deliberately tried to do it, but that's what actually happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, they definitely deliberately tried to get it from Nicaragua to the United States. And it's those Nicaraguan guys that you were dealing with, did they ever go to jail?
No. I think they say Blandon went to jail for like 2 years for like 10,000 kilos of cocaine.
Wow.
Sounds like a lot.
No, not much time for that much, right?
Yeah.
So, no, not when you got young boys, 18 years old, going to jail for 2 grams of crack. I mean, for 2 ounces of crack for 10 years. Right. No.
So wait a minute.
Not time at all.
So doesn't that sound like somebody high up has the ability to decide, stick Rick Ross in jail for the rest of his life, let this guy go for 2 years? Like, how? That seems crazy.
Well, we know Congress went in and changed the law, but there was a big outcry about crack. You know, they had put out this myth about crack was 100 times worse than powder cocaine and 100 times worse than the other drugs. And I think a lot of that came from the cops seeing that young black men was out there having money from selling crack, and they wanted to do something about it.
Do you have any feelings when you see the president's son, Hunter Biden? They openly admit that he's doing all kinds of stuff with crack, but yet nobody seems interested in putting him in jail. How many years did you spend in jail?
I did 20.
Wow. So how do you feel about Hunter Biden? He's smoking crack.
Hunter would have been one of your best clients, huh? He's buying a lot of that.
Well, we know there's 2 or 3 different laws around this country. You know, one for the really rich and one for the real poor and one for middle class. And whichever one you fit in, you know, is what you fit in, and that's how you're dealt with.
But you actually said something earlier. I mean, it's not just rich, because you were rich, but yet you're being treated differently than P Diddy. Trump is certainly rich, and he seems to be not.
I wasn't rich as those guys.
True.
You know, those guys got the money to hire private investigators. They could pay private investigators, you know, $1 million, $500,000 to go and dig up all the dirt that they need. You know, really, when you fighting cases, the more dirt you can pull up on the cops, the better.
But didn't you hire a private investigator to investigate the Freeway Ricky task force?
Yeah, that's when I had money though. You know, I paid $100,000 to Frenchie, and that's how he was able to find out that they were stealing money and planting drugs and torturing people and had houses on the river, and that they were living basically like dope dealers.
It's really unbelievable. Now, there is also a movie that you're developing right now, right? About your life or this ordeal. What is happening with that?
Yeah, we're still in the process of that. I'm working with Gino Taylor and Skip Conwell, Reginald Hudlin, and we're hoping to hire this new young hot director, Mike Ho. We thought we had him. We had everything lined up with him, but we had some problems with foreign sales, so we're trying to bring that back in line now.
Are you finding it ironic that perhaps the illegal cocaine business was easier in certain ways than legitimate business?
Well, it's really not easier. You know, when I sold cocaine, I carried a gun every day, just about.
Whoa.
And wore bulletproof vest. So, and was ready to go to prison. And was ready to go to prison any day. So, with marijuana, I don't think they're putting people in prison anymore. We need to let all the people out of prison that are in there for selling cannabis now. But I don't think they're putting people in prison no more. And going to prison was something that I don't want to do again.
I could believe that. Well, Rick, I really appreciate you sharing all this time with us. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody or anything you want to promote about the dispensary or anything else?
Yeah, if anybody want to help me out and they're not in California, they can go to Google and give me a Google review. I need about 150 more reviews to be at the top of the charts over in my area. Also, if you don't smoke cannabis and you want to support me, you can go to my website, freewayrickyross.com, and buy my book, my T-shirt, and these new sweatshirts that just came out right here. The world famous.
That's pretty dope. Yeah,
they're real. And
so they can go buy those, and then they can go buy the ones for the dispensary.
That's the dispensary logo.
Nice.
That's the dispensary. Freeway Ricky. But yeah, I definitely need support right now. If they can buy the book, T-shirt, I would definitely appreciate it.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Well, it's great to speak with you, Ricky, and good to see you again after a couple of years. We'll stay in touch, and certainly if there's ever anything you want to discuss, feel free to reach out. Shepard, anything else you want to ask Rick before we let him go?
No. It just, if anything pops up, let us know, man. We'd love to have you on anytime. It was great talking with you about all this.
All right, thank you.
Good to have you, Ricky. Take care, man. Be well.
All right.
There you go, Shepard. The legend, Rick Ross.
Yep. Yeah. I like his dispensary idea and getting that all of his logos and shirts and stuff. He's got some cool merch.
He's also got a YouTube channel that people can check out. I don't know if he's promoting that as much, but he's got a YouTube channel there. Also, Shepard, you're on Twitter. It's important that we remind people because you are the most shadow banned person I know of on Twitter. There's no doubt about that. I really enjoyed that conversation with Rick. He's an interesting guy, and there's a lot of interviews with him around the internet that people can check out. You know, I was looking at the docket, not much going on this past week in the P Diddy lawsuit. I think probably
P.
Rick
Diddler.
knows.
You think he'll change his name? He went from Puff Daddy to Puffy to, and how did he get this name? They try to say he was huffing and puffing, and that's how he got the name, but I'm thinking Puffy was something else. And then P Diddy, right? And then that's like P Diddler, then Diddy, Diddler. And then, it's like, it doesn't get more obvious.
It sounded a little bit to me like he might have known some more stuff about Tupac and all that. But I mean,
Yeah,
we
he
can't
did.
ask the guy to talk
No.
about people who are killing people and stuff like that.
Well, I did. I asked
No, I
him.
mean, but okay, we can ask him, but we can't expect him to be talking about that too much. I don't know if you saw this little
But
tidbit.
you know what? I think I believed him when, he at least thinks Suge Knight didn't do it. I don't really think Suge Knight had anything to do with it either. But it makes me think with the murder of Notorious Big, if Puffy actually saw he could benefit from it because Tupac ended up selling a bunch of albums after he died, essentially. And because think about how they named Notorious Big. If you look at his career, his first album or his one album, Ready to Die, and then his other one was Life After Death, and then he died, right? Like almost like they released it just right to disappear him.
See, that's what I mean. I feel like there is more manipulation behind the scenes. And I mean, again, we don't know Rick Ross personally, and we don't want to put him in a position of trying to, get him to talk about something he doesn't want to talk about. But I feel like, see, I don't know how they would have done this, but just in watching interviews with him and everything, like when we look at Sean Atwood or something, I don't get the same sense that I get from Rick Ross, right? I kind of don't really, I'm not as a big Sean Atwood fan. But what I noticed, I mean, again, I said it when we had him on, this is a guy who grew up in South Central LA just as the crack epidemic was rolling out. His mother and father split when he was a baby. He never knew his father, as far as I know. There was domestic violence where something happened where the uncle tried to kill the aunt or something, and his mother, in self-defense, had to go to jail. So by all measures, he has had a life that so many people would just wash out and spend the rest of their lives in jail. But he really is a unique and smart guy. I feel like they might have somehow identified that and said, let's get this guy involved. And the fact that those Nicaraguan guys didn't go to jail, who oversees all that?
Right. Yeah. I think it's all controlled and orchestrated, obviously from intelligence agencies down, and pretty much the whole world is ran like that now. I mean, all the news, pretty much everything, Jason.
I agree with you, Shepard. And I'm also talking about some of the things that I've heard Rick Ross say about court and how he was only able to prevail when he finally became his own lawyer. I've experienced that for sure. I don't know if you saw this tidbit, but late last night, after almost 6 months of avoiding service, Elon Musk has finally appeared by counsel in my lawsuit against the city of New York and other defendants. People who've been watching the show for a while will remember that I went to Twitter to tell Elon Musk that I believe intelligence agencies beyond the FBI, these two guys, Barack Obama and Adam Sharp, I believe were involved in inserting the FBI into Twitter. I went there to tell Elon Musk on November 1st, 2022, and I got choked. And it's, not like I was like super duper.
Like Twitter choked you, or like a guy
I think the guy who choked me was a Twitter security guard, either or an NYPD auxiliary. So that's why I'm suing them. And hopefully now we'll find out a little bit more about exactly what was going on that night, Shep, because without Elon Musk there in the lawsuit, we just really didn't know. Now, remember, Elon Musk had posted in May of 2022, just shortly before, I guess, this incident occurred. Yeah, he had posted this. Some flight attendant had claimed that he did something sexual that was not good and was trying to sue him. And after that settlement, I think, he posted this, where he says, "My commitment. We will never seek victory in a just case against us, even if we will probably win." And I've highlighted that because I have a feeling that, maybe I didn't write the claims properly, and I'm certainly not a lawyer, but it doesn't seem justified for me to go to Twitter to try to help him out by letting him know that the FBI is controlling his new business, and I get choked and given a ticket, and okay, so now he's got lawyers who are going to tell me, yeah, you lose anyway. I want to make sure that he fulfills this promise that he's not going to seek victory in this lawsuit. This is a justified lawsuit. So that's basically all I had prepared for today, mostly focusing on Freeway Rick. Anything else you wanted to?
That was good. No, that was great, man. Good show.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool.
Everyone,
so I want to
also get our subscribe stars, minesubscribestar.com/Shep. Make sure and sign up over there.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. People should absolutely visit subscribestar.com/Shep. Support Shepard. It's really important. I know that a lot of people like to watch YouTube and it's free, and they say, oh, why should I pay to watch other people on other channels and things like that? But we can't carry on with this type of work without the support of viewer sponsors. And, we're not looking for big corporate sponsors, but even for just $5 a month, people can help keep the show going. Support Shepard. Please visit subscribestar.com/Shep. And don't forget, people can also sponsor this show by going to odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. There is one last thing I wanted to share with you, Shepard. I don't know if you've been following very much this guy. I put up our P Diddy raid, Where's Diddy photo again. But I don't know if you've been following this guy who burned himself up, allegedly, at the park outside the Trump thing. Did you hear about that? Here's George's brother pissed off that Elon Musk is coming to the lawsuit.
When I first saw that on the news, I was like, damn, he didn't look like he screamed or anything. He looked like a burning wax figure.
I've done a bit of a deep dive on this, Shepard, and as you know, I was working in Hollywood for many years before starting Crowdsource the Truth, and there are lots of different techniques that can be used to create those kind of fire effects where you put sort of like, chemicals on silk.
Well, I know when they, remember when they had them burning ISIS people and all that shit? That I went and really checked in on that, and that was like fake shit. They were using like effects and every other thing on that.
Exactly. I've even gone and found some videos of in-camera effects companies as far as, how to do that, how to buy the chemicals and the different suits and the stuff that you treat your hair with. I've noticed that we haven't seen any videos or photos that are sufficiently close or sufficiently high resolution to actually make out this person's face. That could really
That's why if you're going to emoliate yourself next time, we want high definition cameras placed around the perimeter from every angle. I got to have an overhead drone view. I want to have some kind of measurement device right there.
Well, this is the photographer who took the picture. Let me play this for you a second.
Hello.
David?
Yeah, speaking.
It's Jason Goodman. I had called you before. I was looking at this photo that you took on Thursday of Max Azzarello, this guy who lit himself on fire in the park.
Yes.
Were you there on Friday as well? Did you get any images of him before he lit himself on Friday?
No, I wasn't there on Friday.
Weren't there. Okay, no problem. Do you know anybody who covered it on Friday?
Not everybody was pretty much already assigned, so it was different outlets. So pretty much anything you've seen, that's pretty much that's out there.
That's all there was. Anyway, listen, thanks for talking to me. I don't mean to bother you. Take care, man. So this guy is a kind of a known assignment photographer around New York. He even runs an agency where I think he's giving out photo assignments because he said everybody else was already assigned. So it was really low traffic in the park that day. If you did want to stage a fake event, having less people there to witness it would be something that you would want to do. I don't know if you got to dig in on this, but as soon as I heard about this, the event is recorded as having happened at 1:39 p.m. And I heard about it maybe within an hour or so, and I started making some AI images. And they hadn't released his name, they hadn't released any photos of him. I just went to the Bing image creator and said, create a hand-drawn and funny, highly detailed cartoon image of a guy running holding a banner that says independent research. And it gave me this image. And so the thing is, a lot of people aren't quite getting this. I'm not saying that this is evidence that Max did or didn't do anything. I'm just saying these AI tools are very unique in how they create these images. And I just find this image of him with this "I want you," and he's wearing a hat that's supposed to be evoking thoughts of the Uncle Sam, "I want you to join the U.S. Army." He's saying, "I want you to tear down a haunted carnival," and he's wearing a red and blue and a little bit less white hat. He's got a beard, right? He's got a mustache and beard. He's got kind of long hair there. And it's interesting that this character is wearing a sort of Uncle Sam-ish hat. He's got the beard, he's got the mustache. He's holding this scroll, almost like it's his manifesto. Remember, the guy had a manifesto? I didn't ask it anything about scrolls. I didn't ask it anything at all like that. And then it created another image where it shows him with a shorter haircut. This was in the same session. It gives me sometimes 2, sometimes 4. I don't know how it decides, but it gave me 4 images here. And look at that. Doesn't that look quite similar to him in this other image that he had on his Facebook page? So just like Rick Ross, it seems like AI knew something about this guy. There's actually one more thing in here that I wanted to show you that I just discovered when I was on Owen Schroyer's show. There were actually a few more images that it created. And I didn't notice this at first, Shepard, but here is the third image. And look, this guy's holding a chemical vial in his hand, and there's smoke and fire all around him. I didn't even notice that at first because it doesn't really look like Max, but I didn't say have the guy running through a park with smoke and fire and chemicals. And on this one, there's a pile of papers behind him, and he left behind a pile of these, manifestos that he was going to give out. Don't you find that uncanny, Shepard?
Yeah, that's weird.
The other thing that's weird is this guy worked for a company called Strong Towns, and Strong Towns this is like a social engineering company, and basically what they create these community action labs, which they want to mobilize your community for change. So they're doing all kinds of weird and unique creative things to do that. There's also evidence that this guy's father has some sort of reality, company like this, a social engineering kind of company. I think that was a staged event in the park.
Yeah, that's weird how all this stuff always ties back to certain things. And I don't know, it's like The Simpsons too, cartoons
Predictive
like that, predictive programming, this type of stuff. It all ties in.
Well, Shepard, it's been a great show. Thanks for joining me today. People are going to definitely want to visit subscribestar.com. subscribestar.com/Shep. Don't forget to sponsor Crowdsource the Truth. You can see the deep dive into Max Azzarello. Much more details and information about that. Go to odyssey.com/@Crowdsource the Truth. And by the way, Odyssey is going to be rolling out some new technology soon. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to entail, but what they're doing, Shepard, is they're creating some sort of decentralized method of avoiding censorship because of all this stuff that's happening now with Australia trying to tell Elon Musk that he's got to censor X everywhere all over the world. I don't know. I would just sort of fire Australia, but we'll see what happens. I definitely encourage people to support Odyssey, support Crowdsource the Truth, support Shepard. We got to get Shepard to create an Odyssey channel pretty soon. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. Huge thank you to Freeway Ricky Ross. Thanks for joining us, Rick. See everybody tomorrow. Thanks for watching.